Art allows us to express ourselves, our thoughts, our emotions. Art tells us stories, evokes imagination. Girishji's artistic journey is a shining example of his expertise and perseverance. Every emotion conveyed in his paintings are raw and honest, with a unique viewpoint and interpretation. His knowledge about different types and mediums of art is truly impressive. He is not only a skilled artist but also an inspiring teacher, providing guidance and encouragement to his students to develop their skills. We are thrilled to have the incredibly talented Girish Nair joining us today on Kaleidoscope. We are excited to dive into Girishji's creative process, his inspirations and experiences. A warm, colorful welcome to all our viewers, and let's get started. Namaste Girishji.
Namaste.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Kaleidoscope.
My pleasure.
The moment I entered your house, beautiful paintings, portraits, amazing vibe.
Thank you.
So I'm pretty sure our podcast is going to be a super hit today.
And like your excitement, thank you so much.
So tell us about yourself, Girishji. Tell us about your background. Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Mumbai.
Uh-huh.
I was born in Mumbai, grew up, and I moved to the US in 2000. But before moving to the US, I was in Bangalore for a brief year, and then in London for a very brief period, working for British Aerospace.
Mm-hmm.
But moved to the US in 2000 to do sales. I felt that, and I don't want to be in the technical line. I'd rather be in a line where I'm able to communicate with people, and I think I can make a better living selling. But that's how I came to the US. I was largely into getting an account, managing the account in terms of software delivery.
How did the engineer become an artist?
Actually, always wanted to be an artist.
Were you like good at art from the beginning, or was somebody in your house, like your mom, dad, anybody a painter, or how did you find art?
Yeah, like I said, growing up, the focus on art isn't much, right? But then I always see my mom. She was actually a great singer. She's no more now. She passed away in 2017. But she wanted to be a singer, and the fire which she had, that she wanted to pursue that career, which was actually stunned a little bit because of the busy nature we had in Mumbai. 3 children, me, my 2 sisters. My dad was busy working. He used to work for a company called Voltas Limited, which is actually a pretty large size company. But the working class family always had this mindset that art and all is good as long as you're super talented or people have recognized you.
Mm-hmm.
But how would anybody recognize if you don't cherish it, you don't nurture it, you don't formally take a training in it, or you go out and sing so that people see you, or you go out and paint so that people can see your work? That never happened.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, that never happened because I was a child there, and when you're in Mumbai, but I always did that. And always painted, even in a small piece of paper or even on a desk, carved something out, but always got punished for it, right? But my mom always really cribbed about not being able to nurture her singing skill, her talent. And she always felt that, I'm much better than some of the other singers who are singing professionally now. But did she get an opportunity? She didn't. But I think that's probably the reason why that little bit of a spark which always kindled me that, my mom didn't get the opportunity. No complaints about that, because of that, she was there. We, all 3 of us, had a decent childhood. A good childhood in terms of being very strict, meticulous. Our things were all taken care of in a timely manner. What did she do later? Once we all grew up, she nurtured that. She actually formed a group in Bangalore for bhajans.
Oh, nice.
And she formed a group of 100 ladies in Bangalore. So I saw leadership skill in her, right? Never worked anywhere. So, like I said, talent doesn't have to be in the same form. Many people ask me who at home paints, but I don't think that's the right answer. Who at home is talented? And I think my mom was talented, and it was passed on to me in a different form. My sisters are also talented. My younger sister, she used to dance very well. She sings also pretty well, but she never nurtured any of those things. She didn't go in that direction at all. My older sister, she used to sketch, but like me, she also never got an opportunity. Studies. That's all we did. But I took it to the next level after a long time. Okay, and why did I take it? Because I think we had some encouraging factors from friends and family. I think that's required, and that's the reason why I thought that I should pursue this career. At least by the time I'm in the 50s, I should be known as an artist of some degree, and I think I'm geared towards that.
So after coming to US, how did the art classes and art academy start? When did you start teaching?
It was a parallel profession for me.
Okay.
So, as always, painting in my basement. It was in Michigan, and all my friends used to come and tell me, "What the heck are you doing here? Right? You should be a professional artist." And I had a couple of friends of mine who really encouraged. One particular person, I always take his name is Binu. He was the first person who felt that you should be doing this more than the actual profession of selling software solutions to anybody. And then I started my first school, not just for painting. I had a dream one day that I should start a small academy. And we started an academy called Kaleidoscope, the Temple of Arts, in Michigan in 2009. But it was a small concept. It wasn't a unique concept, but the concept was to really make a professional education center with Indian flavor of teaching.
Okay.
Where all the Indian arts, which is Carnatic music, we didn't have Hindustani, but we had Bharatanatyam, Kuchipudi, Indian instrumental percussion instruments, we had violin, and then we had painting. But I started off with the idea of me teaching painting, but then it moved into a different direction. Then I had two other partners who joined me, and then eventually we bought a building in a city called Farmington Hills, right in the pretty close to downtown Farmington Hills, and a 2-acre parking lot, the building, and then we had 7 teachers eventually teaching in the academy.
So you actually went big.
We went big. I'm not sure if it was a great idea in terms of going big in the very first instant. We should have done it slowly. I think one of the main reasons why we went belly up with the academy, because there's a lot of money invested in it. Okay, purely because of, I would say, mismanagement of the 3 partners who managed the company should have managed it better.
You were working full time doing
I was
all
working
this,
full time.
right?
I was working full time. I was
Okay.
senior vice president for a technology firm in Michigan. But I used to teach during the weekends. So I started this as a very small school where I had roughly just 4 batches, and I had 40 students in Michigan, not much. But I enjoyed the whole process of teaching, understanding the kids' shortcomings. And that's what I think today's, whatever growth I have in this field is purely because I was able to communicate and understand the shortcomings within a student. And then I tried to link that shortcoming within my own shortcomings too. I said, is that a shortcoming? And I gave an answer to the child that this is how you should do it. Probably I should also do the same way. And then I grew that way as an artist. So 2009 was when I would say, became a semi-professional artist. But
Started your academy in 2009.
Yeah, but if I to answer your question, when did I become professional? That's when you say professional as an artist is when you sell paintings. When you auction your paintings, you do shows, you do exhibitions. I would say professionally 2010, 11 time frames when I sold my first painting as a commissioned work.
So you were in Michigan for a very long time, right?
Yeah, 18
With
years.
your work, your art school. So what happened? How did you move to Charlotte?
Yeah, Michigan, the reason to leave Michigan was purely weather.
Okay.
Yeah, it's 18 years, I think more than, not 18 years, a little over 17 years in Michigan. And my wife never enjoyed the severe cold weather out there. I mean, she used to have allergy issues because of that. And I also felt that, do we want to be here throughout our life? A little bit of warmth is required. And Charlotte is an area where I used to come to Charlotte quite often because I had clients here.
Okay. So you knew Charlotte?
I knew Charlotte. Bank of America was my client, Ally Financials was my client. I used to come here so often. And I used to come to Ballantyne areas very often. And whenever I used to come here, I said, this is the place I want to be. And the one thing about me is that if I don't know, for some reason, if I think of something, I take a call pretty quickly.
Okay. When did the art school happen here? So you started with your basement?
I started
in the house?
I started here. Didn't expect it to grow this fast.
How many students you have now?
Right now, I have close to 170.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
Girish.
Yeah, so I have 170, but I have already taught more than 350 students here. Active number of students is 170.
Wow.
I think it's a little bit of a stretch now, but at some point I expect to exit from my professional life, which is management in the IT space, and do this full time.
Okay.
And hopefully maybe in another year or two.
Okay. But what do you like to paint? Like, what is your style?
See, after being self-taught, I didn't have a specific style as such. Anything I picked up, I felt that I was able to create and some impact. It's all relative. I felt that like color pencils. I started color pencils. I was able to get some realism into it. Oil painting, I had my own style. Watercolors, I had my own style. I tried soft pastels. It worked out very well. But portraiture was something which many people tend to appreciate more because they always connect that painting with another person, right? And when people started, the wow factor on a portraiture is much more pleasing and satisfying than the wow factor in landscapes or still life. So portraiture is where I thought I'll create my niche.
Okay.
Then 2 years back in 2023, I thought I need to spend some time with some of those masters.
Okay.
So I spent a month at the Florence Academy of Arts, and that's where I learned the impressionistic style of painting, which is called the Renaissance style of painting, which is not detailed, but it is more impressionistic, where from a distance it looks real, but when you go closer, it is a lot of brush strokes. And now I'm trying to create a niche in that area, take my painting to that level. Many people think that that's incomplete. It's not incomplete. Creating completeness through an incomplete way of drawing a painting is what people call art, right? And I felt that if I'm able to bring that 1 month was a good experience with other artists from different countries. I mean, there were people from New Zealand, Australia, Gibraltar, Spain. People came there to learn from the masters. All of them are artists. Okay, and I was able to share my thoughts. Some of them are tattoo artists. They do portraits on the back of the people using a tattoo ink. Some of them were pencil artists. Some of them are soft pastel. But I felt oil painting is my forte. Although color pencil is where I'm able to get more realism. But I'm enjoying oil. But oil is a little toxic. Not sure whether I should keep doing that for too long.
You said almost 170 students you have, so you must have different levels, beginners and intermediate and all. So how do you set curriculum for these kids, and how do you assess their growth?
Yeah, so for me, man, I'm not sure if I would use that's a right term to. Teaching for me came a little naturally. I don't really generalize a certain curriculum for any student.
Okay.
I have a pattern. So there's a set pattern, but this pattern may not work for another student because every student has their own level of talent, own level of skill, own level of fear, and own level of handicap. Now I work on the handicap first. What's that individual's handicap? Is it a physical handicap or is it a mental issue? Right? Now mental issue, I take that to the next level. Is it a fear or is it seriously a mental problem with that individual that cannot be changed? I work with that first. Once I take care of that, then I start making them understand things a little differently. For example, a color brown. When somebody looks at brown, doesn't matter what kind of brown it is, they just say it's brown, right? X student will think differently, another student will think differently. So I have to change it accordingly. So some students are able to dissect that color brown into 7 other browns.
Oh.
Based on values, based on temperature, based on saturation. If that student is able to take that, I will give it to that student, that knowledge. But if another student, it's too hard for that student to digest it, I'll take some more time to inculcate that thought process. So it's very customized. So 26 students is an average I would say 24 students in an average per batch. I have 7 batches. All 24 students, I would say we have 5 different classes of students, levels of students. I don't think more than 5 are there. And then I customize my training program based on that.
Oh, okay. So, Girish ji, during COVID, how did it affect you? Like what challenges did you face during that time? And I know you took classes remotely, but was it difficult to keep the kids engaged?
Yeah, COVID definitely did bring in a lot of challenges, I would say. Not teaching per se. I'm not sure if I have mentioned earlier, I had the opportunity to do shows on stage. Okay, and I used to do that in Michigan. A few of my friends felt that I can do live paintings on stage and sell those paintings for a cost. So I did few shows in Detroit. In fact, one of the shows I was actually doing a Jugalbandi with one of the famous singer called P. Unnikrishnan. He's actually A.R. Rahman singer. And we were able to raise $25,000 selling 5 paintings.
Oh, wow.
Which was auctioned for a temple fundraiser.
Okay.
But after coming to Charlotte, I did 2 shows like that. One was in Marvin Ridge High School.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fundraiser for a kidney transplant for a boy here in Charlotte itself. But it was a fundraiser for the Children's Organ Transplant Association.
Okay.
Then the organizers of that approached me and I said, definitely we can do. So there were some musicians who came from Detroit for this. Now how COVID impacted was all these things suddenly stopped, right? Teaching in class stopped, going to a public place and performing stopped. So I was more disappointed about the show part of it because for me, it was like a kick, performing on stage. So typically what I used to do is I used to do paintings on 2 canvases.
Mm-hmm.
And one canvas each would be around 3 feet by 2 feet. Once it was 3 by 4 and another canvas is also the same size, and I'll do one painting upside down and the other one straight, and then I'll bring both the paintings together and combine them, move the right hand side painting to the left, join them and make one single painting out of it. So there's in case if anybody wants to buy the painting together, they have the opportunity to buy that way. So those were great opportunities. It's very mind-teasing opportunities, but for me it became a kicker. Okay, as satisfaction. So that went off. Teaching became online, but we always find some way to, like, everybody is very ingenious in finding creative ways to continue this whole journey. I started teaching online. But while I'm teaching online, I started making videos of my painting.
Oh, nice.
Right? So, because I'm showing the student how to paint, how to sketch online, I thought, why don't I record this work and put that as a time lapse somewhere else, right? So I did that. I didn't really capitalize on this opportunity, but what happened is I was able to see through things a little differently online, and where the student will show the painting on the screen and then figure out how he is moving his hand. But I think it really intensified my whatever limited power in teaching to a slightly different level.
Okay.
And then the moment everything switched back to in person, I think my level of training a student was more enhanced. I was able to see things a little differently. But what happens is, right, the shows stopped, but we figured out something else. And so in 2021, me and my younger daughter, Malvika, we both discussed about, no more shows. We discussed about starting a non-profit called Artist World. And we opened up a marketplace called artist.world. And we got the 501c3 status as a non-profit the very next year. And now it's a marketplace for all my students to sell their painting, where they get 50% of the proceeds and 50% I give to a charitable organization.
Wow.
So last year we had a very large event. We were able to sell about 8 or 9 paintings. This year it's now a student-run organization.
Wow.
So I pick around 22 students, high school students, to run the organization. The first 2 years it was me and my younger daughter who ran it. The very third year we gave it to senior students to run it. So when something doesn't happen, something else comes out of it.
Yes.
It was a great opportunity. Now we are continuing that whole journey. It's getting into a different level now. There's a lot of expense involved, but it's okay.
So Girish, you were talking about charity work, Artist Foundation. I know you do a lot of other charity work as well and fundraising as well. So can you tell us more about it?
The other fundraising are all for other organizations where they invite me as an artist to perform. And so my direct involvement in taking those funds and giving it to the beneficiary is not there. So we are limited to just performing and just giving off your work. So the moment I felt that there is no connect with the actual deed, that's when I mentioned about the artist work, right? So now there's more connect.
Yes.
We are identifying the beneficiaries. So the goal was to distribute whatever little we raise into 3 different categories. One is for children's education. The other one is purely on healthcare.
Okay.
And the third one was for housing. I always preferred doing all these 3 things in India because I came from there. A way to, give back to the country where you were born and brought up. Now I do that as a separate agenda. I don't club that with artists because it's difficult to give funds to India for a fund generated in the US purely because of tax reasons. But then there are organizations who are able to actually do that, channelize that effort, and it's a very complex thing. So there's one organization called Educate a Kid in California. So they are one of the beneficiaries. There's another breast cancer foundation in New York. I've raised funds for them. And then there's a direct beneficiaries like the kidney transplant operation for a child. It is so pleasing and to see the child now after the surgery. And one day when the parents came with the child home, just to show that he's all done, his kidney transplant is successful, and meeting the child I was so happy. I always urge everybody to give back something in some form. I do that with my sister back in India for palliative centers in my dad and mom and sister's memory. For all the death anniversaries, we make sure that we do that. My sister helps me do that. And now I'm planning to get associated with another old age home in Kerala where they're doing a great job. They have a small hospital. They have an old age home where they're housing all these old people.
But with Artist foundation, you have involved kids
Yeah.
doing it.
Yeah.
So that's a big challenge and also good exposure for them, I feel.
It is. In fact, they get voluntary hours for their academic.
So tell us about your annual art exhibitions.
Yeah, that's the major deal for my students. They do exhibitions. We have already done one this year. They're going to do another one June 15th. Now, since we have our own studio now, and we have a dance studio which is run by my daughter, the dance studio is big enough to showcase around 50 paintings. So I'm using that facility
Okay.
to showcase the work. The one which we did in April, we were able to sell 9 paintings.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and we gave it to BCH, Breast Cancer Hub,
Okay.
local Charlotte-based organization. The next one, I'm planning to do it for another charitable organization, which hopefully the June 15th one or the one which is going to be in September. So we will do 3 this year.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether I will do a nice the large annual gala kind of an event which we did last year. We haven't finalized anything, but hopefully sometime in October we might do a larger one. It's pretty expensive to have a larger facility, and then it's a lot of work to get. We can't just do the exhibition. We need to have a dance program because there's some excitement there, some little bit variety out there, and then we have our competitions also. So we got to do prize distribution of the same menu.
Girishji, you work with so many students. How do you deal with kids all the time?
You get into a situation, you learn how to handle it. Right? So I invited myself to be in that situation, so might as well handle it. But calmness is very important. Okay, and my wife is actually surprised that I have the calmness to handle children of different nature. I have notorious students in every batch.
Oh, okay.
Right, and this question was also asked by a few of my adult students. So every batch, if I have say 25 students, I'll at least have 4 or 5 adults, and I have a high school set, I have a middle school set, and then I have these 4 8 to 9 year olds, which becomes the most challenging.
Okay.
Right, but if you take that as an annoying factor, it becomes more challenging. But if you take that as a pleasure, right, it becomes sometimes a little bit annoying because I'm trying to explain something to another student. There's a lot of noise here, and then I have to sit with the children, with that particular child, and say that listen, your dad sends you here for getting your skills polished with me. If you spend time in talking, you're wasting your dad's money. So a lot of logical answers I have to give. There's no straightforward answer for this. Quiet. You have to be quiet. I can't do that. Okay.
Girishji, in today's world, how is art important to us? And if you had to give message to our viewers who want to pursue this as a hobby, as a passion, what would you like to tell them?
Well, being an artist, I don't want to say that I'm biased towards pushing people towards art, but art has a big place in your overall well-being.
Yes.
It's a mental stimulant. I have quite a few students who have joined my classes because they want to do something different, and they felt that they had some ability to sketch or paint while they were little. Now I'm talking about students who are in their 70s.
Oh.
Right. So the oldest student was 84, although she didn't continue for too long. She had severe arthritis, but she came for my class just because she wanted some motor skills improvement. But I personally feel art also makes you think about how to sketch this, how to make it better. What are the improvement factors I can inculcate in this painting? What different colors can I choose? And in the end, the overall satisfaction of that particular piece is the most motivating and calming factor.
Yes.
Now, when people do Sudoku, is the accomplishment of finishing the Sudoku. But there is nothing beautiful about it, right? And I'm not saying that you should not do that. So teasing or stimulating your left side of the brain is so important, right? Because the brain is divided into mind and brain. But if you don't stimulate your brain too often and make it work for you, that's going to deteriorate. Your mind is still controlling emotional aspects of it, but then you are so bogged down with emotions only, there is nothing creative coming out of it. I don't think that when somebody says that I'm not creative, I don't think that's the right answer. Everybody is creative in some way or the other. It's just the way you invoke it and the way you make best use of it.
Thank you so much, Girish, for sharing your vibrant journey with us today. From sketching to your spirited students, from live fundraising art to your building your own art academy, your story is amazing. It's so much inspirational to all our viewers. I'm so grateful, Girish, you took out time for us today, and thank you once again for your participation. Namaste.
My pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity. It was a pleasure talking to you.